from Hot Yoga Asheville, and today on our 9th day of 12 days of sweatness, I am going to review how to use some of these balls, rollers, to do self-myofascial release. And I offer this class currently every last Friday of the month at Hot Yoga Asheville. It's not heated. We do it for about an hour. We go through the whole body. What I would do in that class is we have different size balls, different size tools that we use to work on the whole body and flush the fascia from the top to the bottom. Today, I just want to show you a little bit of stuff that you can do from home. And you can use a lacrosse ball. You can use these rad roller sets. We sell these at the studio. And these are amazing. These are my favorite tools. They've got a really nice grip for them, and then they grab your skin. You can see how it grabs my skin, so it really allows the fascia to glide. So really, this is the ideal tool, and we have different size rollers as well as full kits. And then what I did in here, and this is what I'm going to tell you guys to do at home if you don't have one of these double rollers, is I took 2 tennis balls, or you can do 2 lacrosse balls. I stuck it in a sock, and I tied a knot. It's not ideal because it does wiggle around a little bit, so just do your best, but I think it's a great starting point for what I'm going to show you. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to release the back of the neck. So especially around the holidays and just life in general has us super stressed all the time, if you're anything like me, and that's why I love yoga and that's why I need yoga. But this especially is going to be great to work on the back of the neck. So right back here we have our occipital lobe, and that's at the base of the skull, and it feels like 2 nodules at the base of your skull. And your eyeballs directly correlate to these nodules at the base of your skull. So when we're really stressed, we're working a lot, we're on our phones a lot, on the computer a lot, our eyes get strained, and then that directly radiates to the back of the skull. So one of my favorite things to do is so simple, and if you have a headache, this is a great thing to do as well, is you put the roller at the base of the skull there, at the occipital lobe. You can put it on a block. Since I don't have one here and you might not have one at home, I'm just going to show you as simple as possible. You take the roller, and again, you can do your double, these are just tennis balls inside of there. Put that at the base of your skull. And since you don't have a block, it tends to roll around. You can use your hands to keep it stable, and then you're simply going to rock your head side to side. And what you're doing is you're shearing the fascia at the base of your neck, at the base of your skull, excuse me. And this is really great for releasing tension, stress, anxiety. I almost feel like one sometimes is a little more stiff than the other, one side. So you can stay on that side, rock your head up and down. And then you can go to the other side, chin up and down. That just feels amazing. So at any point when I'm showing you something with the tools, this is a little tutorial video, so we're not going to necessarily stay and hold for long periods of time, but you're welcome to, of course, pause the video or do it on your own for any length of time. You can move it up a little higher above the occipital lobe as well. A little craniosacral work here for yourself. I like to close my eyes. Feels so good. I definitely need it these days, running around the holidays. And the kids out of school. We'll see if they're quiet because I'm at home right now. Okay, then after we work that, I'm going to show you how to work the traps. This is another tension area that I know in my body I tend to hold a lot of my stress. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the roller, or again, you're going to use your tennis balls, and put it at the top ridge here. So these are your traps, your trapezius muscles right here. And you can see mine are kind of stressed out and tight right now. So you can put that there, and then we'll incorporate a little yoga pose into this. So you'll lay down on the rollers, bring your arms by your side. Now bring your feet just next to your hips, about hip width distance, hands on the mat next to you, and press through your feet, lift your hips up. Then from there, you've got a little pressure pressing into the roller on your traps. Now you can just simply stay. And one of my favorite things, we tend to want to move around the roller, but really what you can do is maintain stillness there, and then just simply bring your arms up and down, and up, and down. If this is a very hard position for you, you can also put a pillow or a bolster or a block underneath your hips for more support. And then you can also shear your arms, crossing right over left, left over right. This is just a really great way to start to release the top of the neck, and then you can start to move even lower, placing them between your scapula. And again, you can rock up and down, or you can maintain stillness and scissor your arms right over left, left over right. Up and down. Just enjoy how it feels. If at any point you're feeling a tremendous amount of pain, like a trigger point type of sensation, I'm going to recommend that you stay away from that and you just work more towards a shearing of the fascia. So if you're not familiar with fascia, fascia is what's underneath our skin, and it's actually threaded throughout our whole body. So it's sometimes skipped in these anatomy books, but underneath, this is what allows our skin to glide. And it's very wet, so you need to stay hydrated. And one of the first things we find that when we're dehydrated is we'll start to get cramps, we'll start to get stiffening. And I know my neck is the first thing to go out whenever I feel dehydrated. So if that's an issue for you, you find that you get muscle tension a lot. Sometimes it's just a simple thing of dehydration. The fascia starts to dry out, and then it starts to go through into the muscle. So be aware of that. So again, you can take that, it was underneath the scapula, and then you can move it more towards the middle back. And laying over it. If it's ever too intense, you can put a blanket over it as well. And again, you can stay here. You can lift the hips. You can rock right, left. And this is releasing the muscles just around your spine. And what you're going to do is just systematically move through your whole spine here. And then you're never putting the roller directly on your vertebrae, okay? You're always on the outsides. That's why I like the two rollers next to each other, especially when we're doing spinal work. Okay, and you can go lower. Again, gentle rock side to side. You can maybe tilt up and down with the hips. And you just get a little movement. The roller starts to kind of tilt up and down. And that helps to release all the muscles and the fascia there. And you can go down to the base of your spine. And if you want to put it right on your sacrum, and then just hold stillness. So it's just a little bit of stabilization for your sacrum, but we're not actually going to move around when it's on the sacrum. All right. So that's a great way to reset your spine and any misalignment that you have there. Sometimes you can find some really sweet release. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you is another area where we tend to hold a lot of our tension is just around the hips. Okay, so we've got our piriformis that wraps through our hip, and then our glutes, our glute med, glute max. And when that gets tight, that's when we often start to see that our SI joint starts to hurt, which is that joint right here at the top of your sacrum. Okay, so where that attaches, sometimes that starts to feel a little painful, and oftentimes that's a symptom of some tight stuff in the hips. So what we can do is we can take the double, or I can even show you with a single. You can use the lacrosse ball or tennis ball again, or the double rollers. I'll use just a single one here. You're going to place it. You find the fleshy part here at the top of your hip. You'll place it there. This is when you find out if your floor is level. You place it there, and then just simply roll. And I'm supporting quite a bit with my arms and my legs so that I'm not putting full pressure. Again, I don't want you to be going into a place where you're wincing, where you can't breathe. Notice I'm talking just like normal, right? So if you start to feel like, right, back off. Put a towel over it, put a blanket over it so that it's less pressure. Because really what I want you to do is just to feel a nice release in the fascia. And when we do this in the full session, we work from the head to the toes. You end up feeling like you just got an hour massage, and yet you didn't have to pay anyone. And you didn't sometimes have to ask someone, which sometimes I find is even the hardest thing in my life, is just asking for help, right? Sometimes we just want to take care of what we need to in our own body. And this is something you can do. You don't have to be warmed up at all. You can do this sitting in front of the TV at night. I know you do that, and I do too, right? Anytime you need to just relax and work out some kinks in your body. You have now some tools and ability to take care of yourself. Okay, so I switch sides halfway through, working the other side. And again, you can see I'm really using my arms for support. There's very little weight on the actual tool. So then I'm really just flushing and releasing. And once we're done working on the hips, we can move it down just underneath the hamstring. And what I like to do for this one is cross the left foot over the right and just gently rock the foot in and out. And again, we're not going for super intense. If you do want to feel it a little bit more, it will help to put the roller on a block, to have it a little bit raised. You'll start to feel like bing, bing, right? Your muscles starting to release. We get really tight in the hamstrings, and it's not really necessarily that the hamstrings are tight, but what happens is that the three muscles here underneath your leg start to get tight and fuse together when the fascia gets glued. So you can imagine it's like three muscle groups under here, and when they start to attach to each other, then what you feel is, oh my God, I have tight hamstrings, but really what you're feeling is that all these muscle groups are now stuck together and they're moving at the same time. So if we can get these muscles to release from each other first, okay, and that's where we do this fascia release, and I like to go across sideways rather than up and down when we're working on this area. You can go up and down as well. And again, it's very light. I mean, I'm not even on a block, so it's not a tremendous sensation. It's just like, a little bit of light touch. Feels pretty good. All right. And you can again cross the one foot over the other, one leg over the other if you want a little bit more pressure. Okay. Then we're going to move down to the calf muscle. And for many of us, our calves are very tight. They cramp on us sometimes. So again, very little pressure. You can shear sideways, right to left, and you can also go up and down. You can use the single roller, the single tool, or you can use the double again here for this, going up and down. Sometimes you can find stillness. Just move your foot side to side. Again, if you start feeling wincing, you might be going too far. So we'll do the back of the leg, and we're still staying on the one side. And then this is where you really want the double set. You've got this IT band that runs from the outer knee to the outer hip. And a lot of times people tell us, oh, I need to roll up my IT band because it's tight. And your IT band is actually meant to be somewhat tight. It's a stabilizing part of your body. So it's what allows us to not fall over when we're walking. So while we don't want an over tight situation going on, it's more about releasing above and below the IT band. So you can imagine it's like a piece of tape that's been stuck here, and then it's crossed like that, and like that, and like that. So it's a little bit like a waffle, and a waffle look. And it gets super tight, but we don't want to release it too much. What we want to do is work the top and the bottom of it. So this is where I like to get the IT band in the groove of the roller, and then rolling side to side. You can bring this leg in front or keep it behind. And we're rolling on the outside of the IT band to release that area. One of my favorite things to release as well is the outside of the lower leg. And this is where our fascia correlates to our ball of the foot. It allows us to balance better. So if we release the fascia on the outside of the leg, oftentimes we'll find that our balance suddenly improves. Our foot gets a little bit more grounded in our yoga poses. So you can bring the roller again to the outside of the foot, outside of the shin, lower leg, and roll up and down. You can also do this just simply with your hands. So just to release and flush the fascia, it might be easier to use your fingernails, your fingertips, and release the outside of the leg. And then since that correlates to the inside of the foot, just be sure to squeeze out the inside of the foot a little bit as well. You can take the roller, place your foot on it, roll the inside and the outside. More pressure, you would stand, and then it would give you more pressure and release on the ball of the foot. outside of the foot. So now we'll bring it to the other side, work the other calf muscle, again going up and down or side to side gently, or just moving your toes to the left and to the right. If you want more pressure, you can cross the one leg on top. For me, that becomes too much. So, know your limits, know what's enough for your body today. If you did a lot of exercise, maybe you're feeling a little tender in certain spots. All right, then we're gonna work the other side, the IT band on the left side. So we'll take the rollers and go on the outside of the IT band. So the pressure is on the top and the lower leg. You can work the outside of the calf muscle there. Or even use your hands. If you've ever taken class with me, every once in a while I'll have you all do this in the middle of class. When I see that a lot of people have a hard time balancing in the balance poses. So we'll just rub out the outside of the leg and then releasing through the inside ball of the foot. You can take the roller, put it on the inside groove and the outside groove. And of course, like I said, you could use your little tennis balls here. Just becomes a little less stable. So eventually you can grab these. Okay. All right, now we work the whole back side here of the body, and now I'll show you how to work a little bit of the front of the body. So since we're focused on the legs right now, we'll work the quadriceps muscle from the knee to the front of the hip, and then we'll get into our hip flexor a little bit. So the first thing you can do is just lay on your belly, place the roller underneath your thigh, come up on your tippy toes, almost like a low plank, and then rock up and down. Again, it's not so much pressure that it hurts. And then when you maybe find a sweet spot, and this is where I like to create a low pressure and then glide over to the side, pick up the knee, and you can rock your foot in and out. You might start to feel that moving up your leg. So as the quadricep releases, you can start to feel it in the hip flexor. So we'll take that line, move up into the hip flexor, get a little pressure there, and again, rock the foot in and out. Go up and down, passing through your back toes. And then lowering the leg. We'll get to the other side, so take the roller, bring it underneath your left thigh. Rock front and back. You can shear your leg to the left and to the right. And then we'll move it up to the hip flexor. And again, moving the foot in and out. Another area where we tend to get a little tight, especially as yogis that use our core a lot for our yoga poses, is just through the psoas. All right, so our psoas attaches to our spine and runs all the way down to our inner leg, and that's deep inside of here. So what you can do is place the rollers, the tool, right over, you've got your hip bone here, and you're going to go right to the inside of that, and then lay down. This one has to go a little deep, okay? And again, if you feel a lot of pain, then you might be going too far. You should still be able to breathe comfortably. You can use just the single ball as well for this exercise. If it's ever too much with these kinds of tools, you can get a softer ball. We have one at the studio, it's called a center. It's a little squishier, almost like those balls that you get at the grocery store in those big bins. Those softer balls sometimes is enough for a lot of us. When we're releasing the psoas, you're also, as a side effect, releasing through your digestive system, which is also something that we need this time of year. Make sure you go to the other side. So again, I'm taking the tool, and with this, with the double one, I'm bringing it across this way and then laying over it. I don't even have to do much, just getting that pressure down feels like a lot. If you want to add some extra movement, again, just rocking your feet side to side is a nice way to release as well. We're done working with the psoas. I'm just gonna, since we did a lot of lower body stuff already, we're gonna integrate a little bit of that exercise, of that release into the body. So come on up to tabletop position, and as you exhale, round and curl, tuck your chin. Push the floor away for a cat pose. And on the inhale, pull your chest through, uncurl your tailbone, and imagine you're pressing your breastbone through your upper arms. And exhale, round and curl. It's nice to do again after we release through the psoas. We want to make sure that we re-stabilize. And round and curl. And pull it back to child's pose. Check in with your breath here. Relax your hips, relax your forehead, rock your head side to side. And come on back to tabletop, have a seat. The next thing we're going to do is work a little bit of our pecs and the outside of the shoulder. So for pec work, we're going to place the tool right here at the top of the chest, just underneath your collarbone. So you never want to put the tool right on a bone, okay? Always on the softer muscle. And then for this one, you can also do this up on a wall. If getting on the floor is too much, you can put your chest up against the wall. And we're just going to lay on the tool. Doesn't look like much. Just going to lay down. You can place your hand on your arm or on a block, and then just shear your arm. Move your arm up and down to create a shearing effect around the tool. You can take your arm up and down as well. Just feel it out. This is an area where we all get tight, especially if we're doing a lot of downward dog or plank stuff. But also in our Hot 26 class, raising the arms up and down overhead, over time sometimes our chest can get a little bit tight. Take it to the other side. Again, moving the arm up and down. When you're done with that, you can also simply take the tool and roll it underneath your collarbone. So you can do this with a single ball or the double roller, and then take it to this side. Running from the breastbone to the outside of the collarbone. Again, not on the bone, just below. We can take the roller as well, and this is especially good with the triple set that we sell at the studio. We have the little tool and the medium size and then the bigger one. The little rollers, there's like a little black one and a little blue one. Those ones are great to get into our neck. Okay, so you can use the bigger one as well and just place it underneath your ear, spin it side to side, or draw down towards your heart. You always want to flush towards your heart here. And that's again where we tend to hold a lot of our stress. Lift your chin up. And also find a nice sweet spot here just underneath your ear, and then open and close your jaw. If you have TMJ, it's a great release as well. And we'll take it to the other side. So bring it underneath your ear, draw all the way down the front of your neck, the top of the collarbone there. Bring it under your ear and spin it side to side. Whatever feels good for you, really. Again, I know I've said it a few times, but it is super important that we're not going into these sharp pain sensations. If you're having something like that, it is really great to work with somebody, a specialist that knows the body. And generally, a good yoga class works out a lot of the kinks. And what happens is sometimes we get focused on one part of the body that hurts, but it's actually that the pain is originating from something else. So if you do have something acute, let's say your calf muscle just cramped yesterday and it's still very tender, I'm going to suggest also not going directly with the tool on that spot. So one nice thing, for instance, if it is your calf muscle, instead of working directly on the calf muscle, you're going to focus above and below the point of pain. So just be aware that you're taking care of yourself when you're doing things like this, especially self-myofascial release. It's deep work, so make sure you hydrate when you're done as well. I'm just messing around now because this is where I'm tight, right? So keep going, work your whole body. If there's something I missed, keep going on it. You can work your forearms as well. And work your biceps, your triceps. Okay, you can do that laying on it as well. But generally speaking, I think that what I showed you just now is really a nice review that's going to help make you feel flushed, clear, and ready to do your next thing in the day that you've got to do. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave comments below and let me know if you have any questions as well in the studio. All right, thanks you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying these 12 days of sweatness as much as I am. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.